Your code is finally stable and it works. But now you have a risky new idea. You want to try it, but you're terrified of breaking what already works. Imagine a parallel universe where you can try your idea, break everything, and your original code remains 100% safe. This isn't magic, this is Git's killer feature, branching. Now, Alex has the same problem. She has built her writer tool and it works perfectly. This is her stable code. But now she has a risky new idea. She wants to add a character counter, but she's afraid of breaking her stable code. Now let's see what we have so far. If we look at her Git history, we see that she has already made one commit, C1. And here we see a main. So what is this main? When we create a new repository, a new Git repository, Git by default gives us a default branch, which is called usually main or master. So let's imagine it's called main. So Alex by default starts on branch main. So what does a branch actually mean in Git? A branch is actually a file. So the main branch is located here under refs, heads, and we have the main file. And if we look at inside the main, we will find the hash ID of this commit. So basically, the main branch is actually just a label which points to this commit, the first commit. Now, if she makes her second commit, now the label, the main label, this file, now is updated, is changed, and now it holds the hash ID of commit 2. And similarly, when we have the third commit, the main label or the main branch is moved and now it points to commit 3. So this file changes every time we make new commits. You might have also seen head. What is head? Head is itself also a pointer which tells us where we are currently, on which branch we are. And again, it's a file which is located here under .git, and it just points to the current branch that we are. In this case, we have only one branch, main, and this file, if we look at what it contains, it's just this refs heads main. It points to the main branch. So basically we have two pointers. The branch, think of it as a label, which points to the latest commit in that branch. And then we have the head, which points to the current branch that we are at, the current timeline that we are saving our changes. Now let's consider the current status. Alex has only one commit, and the main, the branch, is pointing to this commit 1, and the head is pointing to the main branch. Now we can create a new branch very easily by the command git branch, and here we provide the branch name, which Alex has chosen feature fit-char. So what happens when we execute this command? What happens is that now we have a new branch, which means that Git creates this new file under refs heads called fit-char. And it's another pointer or another label, which at the moment points to the same commit 1. The head is still pointing to the main. We created a new branch, but we haven't yet switched to the new branch. So let's do it. So we can type git switch fit-char to switch to this new branch that we created. And what happens with this is that now the head, the pointer that tells us where we are, now has moved, and now it's pointing to this fit-char, which means that this file, head file, now is pointing to this file instead of previously it was pointing to the main. Now it's pointing to this refs heads fit-char. Now let's say that Alex has made progress and she has a new commit. She has made a new commit 2. What happens is that the branch fit-char now is pointing to commit C2. So this file has been updated and now holds the hash ID of this commit. And the head is pointing still to this branch because we did not switch back to main. Now let's switch back to main. So we can switch back to main. Let's see what happens. The only thing that happens is that the head, the pointer, now is pointing at main. And let's say Alex made some new progress on main, and she has a new commit 3. Now you see that the main that was pointing to commit 1 after this commit 3, now the main is pointing to commit 3. So this file has been updated. Now it holds the hash ID of commit 3. All right, enough with theory. Let's see this in practice. All right, I've opened the project writer tool in my VS Code. And you can see we have the chapters and the 2 Python files. And here I'm in the terminal, and you can see the list and the files that are shown. Let's check the status. And we see that we are on branch main. Let's see how many commits we have done so far using git log. We see only one commit that is done, and we see that the head is pointing at main, which means we're currently on branch main. We can also check this by using git branch, and we see we are on main, and the main is pointing to this commit ID. Let's verify this. Let's check the .git refs.heads folder. We see that there is only one file, one branch, and we can look at the content. And here we are. So we see that inside this file main, in this directory, we have this value, which is exactly the same as this commit. So we verified that branches in Git are nothing but just pointers, just labels, as we see. Now let's also see the content of this pointer, the head. So for that, we can look at .git head, and we see that this is the value inside that file, this file, and it is pointing indeed to our only branch, which is the main currently. So far we have only one branch, main. It is pointing to this commit, the only commit we have, and the head is pointing to the current branch, which is main. So let's create a branch. We can do this by using git branch, and then I'm gonna put the name feature, and now we have a new branch. Let's verify that we have a new branch. We can use git log again, and this time we will see that the head is still pointing at main because we did not switch to our new branch, we just created it. But we can see that the new branch, this feat-char, is also now pointing at this commit, and we can verify this by first I'm gonna clear. Now again I'm gonna find my list command to show you that now Git has created this new file for our branch, and we can look at inside it, and we see that we have this commit ID, which is exactly the same as what is inside the main, our only commit. You can see these are 2 pointers, like the main and the feature branch, 2 pointers or 2 labels. At the moment, both of them are pointing to the same commit ID. And I can show that the Git head is still pointing at main because we haven't switched yet. Now let's switch to our new branch. Now we switch to the new branch. Now if you look at the head, we see that now it's pointing to this new branch. Now let's go to our code, and let's say that Alex has added a new feature, or at least part of her work. Let's call it count char. It gets a text and it returns, let's say, sum of C is space. Let's do like this for C in text. So basically we will loop over all the characters in text, and we will count them if they're not space or tab or new line. All right, so we have this change. Let's go back to our terminal. I'm gonna clear. I'm gonna use git status. Let's save, and now let's try git status again. And here we see that in this branch now we modified this file. Now let's add it to the staging area, and now let's commit, let's say add char count. All right, now let's verify that we have now 2 commits, and now we can see that the feature branch, or the label that was previously pointing to this commit, is now moved, and now it's pointing to a new commit that we just made, this add char count. And we can verify it again by Looking at the file, refs heads, and we see indeed that the file contains this hash ID, which is the hash of the second commit that we just made in our feature branch. All right, we can use always git branch to know where we are, or we can also see from, if we use git log command, we can also see the head is pointing at which branch. All right, now we have two branches, feature char and main, and the feature char is pointing at this commit. All right, I'm gonna switch back to main. Now we can verify that now we are at the main branch. Now let's make a new file here. Let's make a readme file here. Includes tools for your book. Not a great readme, but for the sake of this video, let's stick with this. Let's save this. Now I'm gonna go back to my terminal. It's clear. Let's check the status. So we are on the main branch still, and now we have a new file, untracked file, a new file. Now let's add this, git add git status to check. Now git commit, and I'm gonna give the message name, let's say add readme file. All right, so we made a new commit here. I'm gonna clear. We can verify it by using git log again. So we see we're still on the main branch, and now we have two commits in this branch. We have the new commit. Now what happens is that the main file now containing the new hash ID, this hash ID. Now let's switch back to our feature char branch. Now we're switched to feature char branch, and if you notice, the readme file disappeared here, and the reason is that the feature char branch is pointing to this commit, and this commit or this snapshot of our repository does not have this file. All right, I hope this video gave you a little bit insights on how branching works in Git, and see you in the next video.